अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. In case you're wondering why we are recording this hafta on video, which we do sometimes, the special haftas, haftas when Chetan Bhagat is coming or Mehraj is going. So Mehraj, are you flattered?
No, not at all.
So this is going to be Mehraj's last hafta in this stint. Hopefully we will have another stint at News Laundry. He is moving on. We will tell you what he's going to do. We'll leave that mysterious because you are going to help him decide after as we discuss this, as are we. But very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year with red mics and all that.
Festive.
So today, joining me on the hafta, we have a pure in-house team. Since it was Mehraj's last, we thought we'd just have a discussion on 3 profound topics. So we have Anand Vardhan, who is the master of profound topics.
Yes.
Young Mehraj, who is the professor of profound topics.
How am I intern?
Who rejects profound topics with the disdain that a child rejects palak.
I love palak. I'm a huge palak fan.
That's because you're not a child.
Oh yeah, I could have also said that.
I know, but you focused on palak.
Palak, how much I like it.
And I'm Abhinandan Sekhri. I have nothing to do with profound subjects. I'm just the host of this show, Hafta, where we've been coming to you week after week for more weeks than I can even recall. Before we get into the headlines, I would like to make 2 special announcements. Since it is Christmas and New Year's, we have a Christmas hamper that has some wonderful things that will make you remember us, some things to wear, some things to apply, and consumables. So not only will you be giving someone a wonderful Christmas gift, but you will also be supporting journalism. So we highly appreciate. Go to the News Laundry store or click on the link in the show notes and pick up a Christmas hamper for someone who is important to you. Also, this I have written down in case I get confused. We have a limited subscription offer. This is because of the festive drive. If you are someone who has never subscribed before to News Laundry, a first-time subscriber, send us an email at subscription@newslaundry.com. On the video, you can see it written also here, subscription@newslaundry.com with the subject, your name, and subscription offer. Which, if you're Manisha, you'd say Manisha, subscription offer. But if you're not Manisha, you put your own name. In the subject line, we will send you a payment link. It'll include a flat 20% discount on your annual subscription. So that's 20% saved. And you also get a cool News Laundry laptop sticker like the one you have here, you see on my laptop here.
Cups like this.
I don't think you get cups.
No?
Don't overpromise and underdeliver.
Cut.
You're like a neta.
ये भी मिलेगा, वो भी मिलेगा, कप भी मिलेगा,
You'll get a
sticker भी
sticker
मिलेगा,
and fridge magnet.
सब मिलेगा, free.
If you want the
free.
mug that Manisha and Mehraj are using, you'll have to go to the News Laundry store. So the one-time offer, only the first 100 emails we get will get this offer. Not everybody, just the first 100. So do send in your email to subscription@newslaundry.com, your name and subscription offer. So on that note, let's get the headlines of the week and then we get to the 3 profound subjects.
The headlines: the Health Ministry has told states to send all COVID positive samples for genome sequencing.
Mm-hmm.
The advisory was issued in view of the spike in COVID cases in a number of countries, most notably China. And Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia has urged Rahul Gandhi to consider putting his ongoing Bharat Jodo Yatra on hold if they can't follow COVID protocols. Weren't they campaigning through COVID for elections last year?
Before the second wave.
And there was also a few
huge rallies.
No, there were a few huge
And of
festivals,
course,
right? Wasn't the Kumbh? Was the Kumbh during COVID?
Yeah, that was the second wave.
But that was the horrible. And then there was a few other festivals.
And we've
also.
just had elections.
Was there Durga Puja also took place during COVID, or was there this thing? I mean, everything happened during the peak COVID.
Yeah,
but right now, suddenly, when like numbers, all India numbers are like 100 and something. I mean, Delhi used to be 25,000 a day at the peak.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They're worried about China. And the variant that's in China has already come to India in July.
It's called the BF7 sublineage of the Omicron variant of COVID-19.
It's already here.
Nepal has blacklisted 16 Indian pharma companies which it says do not follow WHO's manufacturing practices. The companies include Devya Pharmacy, which is a part of Baba Ramdev's Patanjali Ayurved empire.
Who's a big advertiser, so you won't find this news
Yeah.
being played up on television
this news
channels.
Only played up on television because, in fact, not just him, I'm sure most of these pharma companies are big advertisers.
And this is not a good week for them because another Indian pharma company called Maiden Pharmaceuticals has been held responsible for the death of 66 children in Gambia. The children died after taking cough syrup made by the Indian company. A Gambian parliamentary committee has recommended blacklisting Maiden Pharma and banning its products from West African countries. Continuing with sad news, Reserve Bank of India Chief Shantikanta Das has warned that the next financial crisis will come from private cryptocurrencies.
Well, that could be good news also.
Yeah, quite a few.
Not for investors.
Not the recession, but yeah.
Yeah, not the recession, but yeah.
A couple of them are already tanking. FTX.
FTX though was sunk. In fact, that guy's being extradited, right? From Barbados or wherever he lives. Bahamas, huh?
Delhi's Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena wants to recover 97 crore rupees from the Aam Aadmi Party. He says the party published political ads as government ads using taxpayer money.
This is like the most fascinating
I really
story
hope this happens and it sets a precedent. Can you imagine the amount of money that will be recovered from each of these parties in the last 4 or 5 years? They'll be bankrupt.
But who decides these are political ads and not government ads?
And it's very hard to come across a government ad.
Saxena ji has decided. Now Saxena ji ne keh diye, to baki the same metric can be followed for all parties. That whether it's political or is it giving any. But wonderful, then everyone's money should come back. But here, because we don't run advertising, we run on subscriptions. We don't have to worry about this. I'm sure all these... In fact, there's a story Ayush has done how the government, the BJP has advertising to print newspapers has come down drastically in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
I have a theory of that, by the way. Before I move to the next headline, is because now they don't even need to advertise.
Yeah.
They say they will do it even without ads. So, yeah.
Another Lieutenant Governor, Manoj Sinha of Jammu and Kashmir, has warned Kashmiri Pandit government employees who are protesting against targeted killings of their brethren that those sitting at home will not be paid salaries.
Yeah, but at a time when Kashmir was headlines, if so much as one, Kashmiri Pandit was shoved during the Omar Abdullah's reign. Now, while this is happening, what we see is that a lathi charge on some people in a bus stand in Punjab. See how Punjab is being so cruel to Punjabis. Punjab government, AAP government. But Jammu and Kashmir is no longer an issue.
Okay. There was uproar in parliament this week after BJP demanded an apology from Mallikarjun Kharge of the Congress for his dog comments. Kharge had said that while Congress leaders made supreme sacrifices during the freedom struggle, the BJP, and I quote, did not even lose a dog for the country. Kharge refused to apologize, saying he had made the comments outside parliament. Jahan kuch bhi chalta hai. I mean, inside parliament also, but...
Inside parliament, alag kisam ka kuch bhi chalta hai.
Nepal Supreme Court has freed serial killer Charles Sobraj. Is it Sobraj or Sobraj? Sobraj. Charles Sobraj, because his health is failing. Sobraj, who is now 78 years old, has been in a Nepal jail since 2003. He infamously escaped from Delhi's Tihar jail in 1986 after giving prison guards spiked sweets, saying it was his birthday.
Man, that was... he was famous then, yeah.
A 10-year-old student in Karnataka died after he was thrashed with a shovel and pushed off a balcony by his teacher.
You know that other video also of that teacher, that was in Delhi, right? She threw the kid off the first floor. That was in Delhi. And a video of hers, emerged sitting, at the door of her classroom, just shouting. And this wasn't the day she threw her out, the day before that. And she was sent for psychiatrist evaluation because she's not very old. She's quite young. She'd be probably Manisha's age, probably, 10, 15 years younger than me. And you can tell she's not, and she's obviously not okay. And I mean, when you just read, a report that she did this, you think that she's some evil ogre. But when you see that video, you can tell she's mentally disturbed at a level which, what is she doing teaching children, It's just, I don't think it's even acknowledged in our country. And that video apparently is before this incident.
Wow.
So they should already have known that.
Imagine beating somebody with a shovel.
Yeah, dude.
Opposition MPs walked out of the Rajya Sabha earlier this week after their demand for a discussion on the border conflict with China was rejected.
Boring. Mail me when they moonwalk out.
Yeah, and Foreign Minister Jaishankar said that, and I quote, "We have no problems if there are political differences, but we shouldn't directly or indirectly criticize our Jawans. Our Jawans are standing in Yangtze at 13,000 feet, defending our border. They do not deserve to have the word pitai. He was referring allegedly to Rahul Gandhi saying that the Jawans had been beaten up.
I think he did use the word pitai. Hamare jawan ki pitai ho rahi hai, something like that he said.
Absolute freedom at the age of 18 may not be appropriate for society. The Kerala University of Health Sciences has told the state's High Court. The university was responding to a plea challenging curfew hours for female students living in its hostels.
This is something I find really strange in our country. You can vote at 18, which is probably a decision more important. In Delhi, till the AAP reduced the age to 21, drinking age was 25. In other states, it was 21. Everything else you can't do till 21, 25, whatever. But voting is 18 is fine.
No, but to be fair, I mean, these kind of like lines, age restrictions, these are very arbitrary things. So society can always kind of judge where to put those.
I guess.
A survey of teachers in Jharkhand has found that most government school students had forgotten how to read and write by the time they returned to classrooms after the pandemic in February this year, which is really, really alarming.
Yeah, dude.
And this is consistent with the studies that have been done even in the West.
Same kind of learning outcomes have suffered.
Yeah. A parliamentary committee has pulled up union and state governments for not releasing compensation money to the families of 104 people who died cleaning sewers or septic tanks. The Congressional Committee investigating the events of January 6th in Washington, D.C. has recommended that former President Donald Trump be prosecuted on 4 criminal charges.
But that's going to change hands in a week, right?
Anyway, this is something they just apparently invented on the fly. They don't have any such authority as such.
And apparently what they're saying is that when the Republicans take over, this is the House, right?
This is a lame duck session, yeah.
So when they take over, they're going to investigate the people who investigated. It's going into meta. Then when they change it again, they'll investigate the ones who investigated, the ones who investigated.
The Taliban have indefinitely banned university education for women in Afghanistan. Argentina won their 3rd World Cup after beating France in Qatar in what was an epic final match.
Best ever. In fact, we should have all been wearing Argentina colors.
Yeah, that's all we have for this week, and which was a lot.
Yeah, man. But there was one more thing I forgot we should have included in the headlines, that an RTI that asked for the file notings on Bilkis Bano's rapists and the murderers of her family's remission, when they were the file notings of, RTI was rejected. I thought that was interesting, so much for RTI and democracy, etc. Now, we're going to be discussing 3 profound topics. I said, first of all, Mehraj is going to be leaving. He's going back to Kashmir for a while, and then we will figure out what he does, as in he'll figure it out. We will not figure it out. But there are 3 options out there. One is he continues journalism. 2 is he becomes a teacher, which I was actually suggesting to him. He'd make a fantastic teacher. 3 is the bureaucracy. So since we have people who cover all those 3 sitting here in some way or the other.
How does he get into bureaucracy?
Lateral
entry.
Of course, lateral entry. Yeah. What else? Lateral
Modi ji ko maska lagana padega.
He can be like the,
Election ही लड़ लो.
अरे ऐसे कैसे?
Election ही नहीं हो रहा है.
हो जाएगा.
So the bureaucracy. So that is one of the profound. And the second thing we'll discuss is the World Cup and the controversies around that. So since it has been a relatively slow news week and it is Christmas week, we thought we'd keep more generic subjects. So you want to go with discussing his future first or the future of football?
Immediate future is just take a break, some rest, and then figure out.
But you have now been in journalism how many years, Mehraj?
Including everything, internships and this and that, I think 13 years.
But you've been a teacher for 3 months also.
3 months in one stint, which was a government school teaching job, and another. So I had this when I was in college. I had a teacher who, when retired, as usual, goes to a private school as headmaster. So I was sitting home waiting for the results and nothing to do. So he came and told my dad, I'm taking him. And he said, okay, fine. So I was there for 4-5 months as well.
And the third is you can be lateral entry bureaucrat. Now, in today's day and age, so these are the 3 options. Manisha had a 4th option, to do nothing.
That is the best one.
To
chill. So now what I would like to know from the panel's view, in today's day and age, what is the best profession to get into, in your point of view, Anand? It's ascending or descending order. Out of these 3, what do you think is the most desirable and least desirable?
Journalism, teaching and bureaucracy.
Yeah. Because
And Anand actually has done all of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's
Yeah,
always
you're the
he's been
master
almost a
of-
bureaucrat. He is a teacher, and he doesn't call himself a journalist, but he's
But
a commentator. But
dabbled in the.
he's been in the space. So yes, let Anand first you tell us
So
in,
you
and
do
of
the
course doing
honors.
nothing. In the four things, in what order would you prefer and why?
You missed the latest. I am a student again.
A student of law, correct? He's joined
Yeah,
law fac.
he's cracked his
So
exams.
I have got admission in Delhi University Law LLB. So I will be a lawyer also in 3 years.
Oh,
I think I am like most young Indians, though I am not that young now. So who have no aptitude for nothing and who try many things. So and whatever clicks and becomes lucrative is I can admit that I don't have great aptitude for doing anything, and I think we in India, if the social hierarchy, if you go by social hierarchy, and for a middle class Indian, instant social recognition, power, money, nothing beats bureaucracy. So if you are a bureaucrat, you are demigod in small places, and in big places also you are powerful. So for young Indians, I think, and there are surveys of young Indians. There are statistical data that bureaucracy, a job in top bureaucracy, beats all. It's, people. So that is the statistical evidence. So I personally, since I have gone through the drill, would put bureaucracy at number one. So second would be, I think, a very tenured teaching job, not the kind that I do in coaching institute, but university teaching job for the kind of time you get after that.
Yeah.
You have literally nothing to lose in terms of time. Means you just take one or two classes in a week, and that also means you know the stuff that you are teaching, and means the kind of time that you have to do other things.
Yeah.
So I think
that's very attractive about teaching.
And the parallel things, parallel hobbies, and other parallel things you can, if you are inclined towards writing or doing anything or doing some illegal business also you can do.
That's a किस प्रकार के teacher हो?
So
साइड में illegal
दिन में हम बच्चों को पढ़ाते हैं, शाम को उनको चरस बेचते हैं.
So
और दोपहर में tuition.
And journalism, well, I'm not talking about professional journalism, but at times I feel it's not a proper job. So means I'm the kind of journalist I come across in small places. They're stringers. They're not proper job. They are doing 10 different things and
So
doing
the money is really bad, so they have to do
doing
it.
Story के तो 5-10 हज़ार मिलते हैं.
doing
5-10 तो बहुत है, 100 रुपए. Literally now for a ticker you get 50 rupees.
And when I'm not talking about top league journalists, but quite means the kind of journalist I came across in small places. They themselves say that it's not a job. We also run a floor mill and something like that.
There's
And
just no money in it.
So anyway. So that's so my strategy is very practical strategy that I am not good at anything. So my strategy is that some money by doing bad writing, some money by doing bad teaching, and some I hope to get by doing
bad legal practices.
Bad legal practice. So the sum total of all, being average at all things, the sum total of all will become a decent amount. So that's my strategy.
but isn't bad legal service like the money spinner? Like in a very moral sense.
I was talking to a lawyer. He said that law में दो ही लोग चलते हैं, या तो सही से पढ़ने लिखने वाले या जाली लोग. तो हम बोले तो हम तो इन दोनों में से कुछ नहीं है भाई.
Okay. So you used the word Young India a few times, and even when this whole Rahul Gandhi case of the company was called Young India used to come up, the jingle kept popping out my head. I want to know if you can complete the jingle. बच्चे बूढ़े और जवान पहने Young India, Young India, Young India बनियान. You've never heard this jingle?
No. Young India Banyan. I don't know of this brand.
Pehne, Young India, Young India, Young India Banyan. You're not 70s kids now.
No, I just know the VIP one.
Too old.
So one thing, just a very good phrase sums up the attraction of Young India to bureaucracy. It's a appointed authority. Appointed authority that people in political class they go through the drill of getting elected, but the means a day-to-day power lies with the bureaucracy, and so they are appointed authority. So many students say that there is a special thrill in being appointed authority. We are appointed, we got through meritocracy, and we are appointed ones. So yes.
Now that also I think partly comes from how the society is designed. I mean, this is nothing informed. This is very gut feeling, because you remember we were talking last week about how the Indian society generally doesn't have that respect for dignity and life as such.
Right.
And because caste system, you have that appointed authority. I mean, you just have to be
So
born
it's a
somewhere
reflection
to
of
have
that.
that.
Correct. So you
that
get that.
It comes from that partly.
Manisha, you want to go next? What is your option? I know your number one option is to do nothing, which is
Look,
this.
journalism is just, no, I wouldn't advise anyone to enter it because it's really a hard profession. And before I entered it, my relative actually told me that, who's a TV journalist and he's a pretty accomplished one at that, had said that there are two kinds of jobs. One is where you have a lot of money but no time. So like an MBA, private enterprise, you'll make a lot of money but you'll never have the time to spend it. And there's the government job where you'll have a lot of time but you won't make money. So like a 9 to 5, thing where you don't make much money but you have your time. And journalism is a job where you'll have none. You'll either have time or you'll have money. And this is very true about journalism, that it takes a long time to make decent amount of money. It also requires you to be at the right time, at the right place. There are many talented people in the industry who are fabulous, but they haven't been able to reach where they deserve. And it's a very, very hard industry. So I don't think journalism would have been my first choice. But teaching is nice, but I somehow find Indian campuses very depressing. There's something about school and colleges that I find very depressing. It's very static. It's very morose. It's also very stuck in time. I can't feel excited in a campus. I don't know why. And bureaucracy, I would have loved if I had the competitive rigor that it requires. If I could have cracked competitive exams. If my parents had drilled me bachpan se ki chalo ab tumko 10th ke baad competition dena hai, so then I would have, done that. But I really suck at competitive exams, so that's also not an option. IFS would have been great, as I was saying before this.
So you could travel the world.
People would get confused. IFS, IFOS.
Forest service.
Because there is foreign service.
Yeah, that's a different exam.
Yes.
But when I read English August, I was very like, oh yes, this is what I want to be. Young
that
bureaucrat.
That would not be depressing in some PWD dark bungalow.
No, but then I would be thinking about so many things.
One thing is that I think Rahul Pandita long ago wrote an essay about TV journalism in general, and he pointed about this Kankerbagh. Means Kankerbagh is a locality in Patna, so it is said that it's a middle class locality, and a lot of a breed of Hindi journalists in Hindi news channels come from there. So he pointed out that they are on television every evening, and people get this feeling that he is some sort of celebrity. You are on the TV, so. But the illusion in journalism is that you sit with a bureaucrat, politician, film star, and you think that you are sometimes you get the illusion that you are at par with them, but you are nothing.
You're nothing.
You are nothing. And that sense of derived power sometimes get into people's head, and they realize it 10 or 15 years later that you are nothing. You are just talking to him.
But that said, I don't want to diminish the importance of journalism. We shouldn't do that. So, there are some brilliant journalists out there and they've done great work, but whichever journalists, even my peers who I know who are doing fabulous work at newspapers or at television channels, it comes at a great cost of personal life, family life, time, and then also being at a space where you think, okay, you've put in so much years, but what are you really making? That money thing, I think, really hurts after a while to most journalists. But I think you have to be a different breed, I think.
Yeah, I think
you have to somehow just,
See, again, I will give because after this, we're going to come to you last, Mehraj, because you'll tell us that what have you decided. But few, riders. One is that, what Anand said, while, that's true for journalists, true for almost every profession. That's true for doctors, for lawyers, that very few actually make it. Most don't. Like if you go outside, you go outside RTO, you'll see lawyers sitting there with typewriters, affidavit बनाने के. So, but not everybody is a,
Kapil
whatever.
Sibal.
Yeah, Kapil Sibal or the one who's
Manu
these days,
Singh.
the
All
who
Congress lawyers I'm
crore.
naming.
Same thing with
Tushar Mehta.
same thing with journalists, same thing with doctors, like the amount of doctors who are really poorly paid and overworked as hell. So the only thing is that the distance between the least successful and most successful is in teaching is not that wide. It's not like the most successful teacher is making as much as the most successful doctor, like Dr. Trehan, or like, some lawyer, whatever, Manu Singh, who files, I don't know, kitne crore ka income tax every year.
No, yeah, who's the most,
So,
there's one.
Salve,
yes.
That's the one I was thinking of. Harish Salve.
Harish Salve.
In
How
fact,
can we forget him, yeah?
when you cross his house, it's on the main road of this one street that I often go to. The cars that you see outside, my God, I was like, dude, your driveway is worth the net worth of many companies. Just those 3 cars would buy out a few companies. But having said that, net, I'm telling you, the long term, I have a long term view on this, because बच्चों में तुम सबसे 15-20 साल बड़ा हूँ. I've exaggerated a little bit, 15 साल तो बड़ा हूँ ही. I have yet to see a happy old bureaucrat.
Come on, that's a huge generalization.
I'm telling you, I know many, because most of my friends, daddy, mommy, bureaucrat. They are so sada hua in their old age, I'm fucking amazed. It is because that loss of power, you're fucking no one, you're irrelevant as fucking hell. And you had power. This is like I have yet to see a happy old superstar. I mean, I don't know whether I've told you this, that when I had my 1 year stint in Bombay, this even before my 1 year stint when I was hanging around there, Manisha Di, we used to call her Manisha Di Koirala, her brother was my classmate, so Bombay we used to go hang out with them, and we were useless chutia 17-year-olds. So any Saudagar had become a big hit, we used to go with her for any, jahan daru khana mil raha hai, and she would be invited to every party, so 4 of us would follow. And I remember seeing Rajendra Kumar. I couldn't recognize him. He was a superstar. And I saw a lot of these. I mean, I had never seen a happy old superstar who's not relevant anymore. I have not seen a happy bureaucrat. The amount of happy old teachers I have seen is more than anyone else who's happy in their old age.
बच्चों को पीट के.
Because some of them actually keep getting attention कि भाई a student आया है.
Actually, you never forget your teachers. That's
I
true.
mean, super successful people, teacher को देखते हैं, कोई teacher बीमार हो गया, ओए सारा alumni इकट्ठा हो गया. So, and the second thing is what Anand said. Many of the campuses, and I'm sure that's not true for any campus, but Delhi University, if you're a professor, I'm back when, my uncle was a professor there, the bloody house you get, fuck man. The ridge is in front of you. And he was the warden of the hostel. So it was 15th University Road, I remember. At the back, there was a hostel, this huge maidan. In the morning, we used to go into the ridge, you see deer and all. Where the fuck are you going to get that in Delhi, man? And of course, like Anand, you had all the time in the world. किताबें लिखनी है, football academy set up करनी है, बच्चों को पीटना है, चरस बेचनी है, जो करना करो. So I think if money is not your, main priority, teaching is definitely the best. I think it's the most satisfying in the long run. It may not be satisfying in the short run, but in the long run, I think it's the most satisfying. I think journalism is extremely satisfying. Again, but it is very few percentage people actually make enough to sustain themselves. And especially when you're old. But again, money is not a priority for everybody. And that is one mistake that we all make because of the urban lives we live in. We think everyone's priorities are the same that of the people we meet. You end up meeting a lot of people for whom it's not a priority at all.
Two things I would like to add. That first is that in a work like writing, or if you are not reporting, journalism also in general, but writing, column writing, so you reach a point where you are fed up with being abstract, doing abstract things, and professions like law attract that because you can be of practical utility to everyone. Like your maid comes with her document, you can read it,
Right.
help her immediately,
Right.
like or fight a case for someone. No, I'm not
Or even advice. Just
I am
give
not
sound legal
moved by
advice.
altruistic motives, but
Immediate solutions. Yeah.
but the the urge to pull away from 24-hour abstract world is also there, that be of something of someone who can be of immediate utility to someone.
But that's column writing. Reporting is high impact.
No, I am talking about column writing or this, and also that for that matter teaching also. So professions like law can make you a person who has some practical utility for someone. So like you can, so that was my attraction to. Second is that about bureaucracy, I think in India you have a special situation where and many foreign commentators have also said this about Indian bureaucrats, diplomats and police officers. Nowhere you will find police officer, bureaucrats or diplomats who are so educated. Because the British wanted only the very educated to enter these professions. Because of their reasons, we continued with it. Now a superintendent of police who has cracked so many such a tough exam, you will hardly find in they are called sergeants, and many places constables do the superintendent of police work. So even bureaucrats, Indian diplomats are so educated. I think also the kind of welfare administration that we gave power to bureaucrats, it's, if you are I am not of that type, but if you are of that making a difference brigade kind of young man or women, bureaucracy, the kind of difference you can make is huge. There
but in all likelihood the biggest difference you'll make is to your own postings.
No, the districts, remember,
that's true, for
district magistrates, superintendent
that, yes. You hear that when you go to small towns.
They stage a protest if they the DM or SP they love, they are transferred. They stage a protest. So and the kind of you have crores and crores of rupees at your disposal for welfare activities, and you can make a lot of difference.
The impact is huge. So Mehraj, what have you decided? You have heard all sides.
Before that, what you were saying about not a happy bureaucrat, there's this fascinating little short story. It's I forget what its name is about. It's originally Russian, so it's about these two bureaucrats from communist USSR. They end up on an island with nobody around, and all their lives they have only ever known to give orders, have other people do their work, and they have nobody. It's so fascinating how they try to get off that island, how they make people work for them and everything. That was a side note. So I think it really comes down to what you actually want from life, right? Do you want money? Do you want contentment? Do you want something else?
Like, do you want revolution?
Whatever, yeah. Like Anand said, if you are part of that brigade also.
That brigade.
Yeah. So, but so in my case, I came to journalism by accident, and I don't regret it because it's given me so much. Personally, I haven't given much as a journalist, but to me personally, it has given me too much. I have learned so much. I have learned to speak. I have learned to write. I have learned to so much more, to think about things, to understand things. And most importantly, like before I went to university, I had never set foot outside of my village, like more than 10 miles outside of my village. Since then, I've seen the world. I have met people, made some amazing friends, learned a lot. But if I still had a choice, I would prefer the kind of thing which I had like when I went for the fellowship. So where you do your work, but you still have a lot of time to think and write and read.
So research / professorship.
So
the problem with
and
journalism
academia,
is where you can have that fast pace, you think about things, it makes you think. You don't get that time to like relax and think. That's a completely different zone.
There's just no time.
You're
always switched on. You're never switched off.
Yeah, that's one big disadvantage. But other than that, I have zero regrets.
A tenure professorship would be best.
Maybe.
Funny, even, I didn't get into journalism. Actually, I got into journalism by force. It was basically because my sister thought I was hanging around with the completely wrong kind of people in North Campus. He's going to get into trouble, so he should hang out with decent people, become a researcher at Newstrack. And of course, because access gets you everything in India, I was only to stay away from bad people, and look where I ended up. With the worst. Here we'll wind up the video part of the podcast. We'll continue with audio only, and we'll talk about the World Cup, the controversies, the matches, the wins, the losses, and what it did and didn't do for Qatar. Was the stated objective achieved? Catch all that on the audio only version, but on video, Please, Mehraj, say bye to your fans, viewers, listeners.
Bye bye.
We shall hopefully.
For now.
No, I am not.
Why you, Anand? Anand is saying
I
bye.
thought that this was a generic thing.
This is like people, who are completely disinterested. Come say happy birthday to you also.